Hi friends, it's Claire Daly, Stampin Up demonstrator in Melbourne, and today I'm going to show you some basic colouring with the Stampin Blends using this beautiful Under My Umbrella stamp set. So I have got my Stampin Blends selected here. I've got Magenta Madness, Smoky Slate, Just Jade and Mango Melody. So we're going to be using those colours and we're going to build the card together. So let's get started. So I have stamped my images onto the thick Whisper White cardstock and I've stamped them on with Tuxedo black Memento ink. So this is a fast drying dye ink, and because the Stampin Blends are alcohol markers, they don't react with the dye ink, so you don't get any blurring of the edges. You can also use any of your colours of your classic stamping pads as well for using with the Stampin Blends, because they're also dye inks, which is great. So you know that gives you a completely different look as well. But I'm just going to show you the basics today, which is the using the thick Whisper White. I think that way you can add lots of blending without the paper peeling and stuff like that, but also it just doesn't go through as much, but always have something under your surface, and always use the dye ink when you're using the Stampin' Blends. So I'm going to start by doing the boots, and I'll show you two different ways. I'm going to start with soft slate on these. So you can either start with the dark and then add the light, or you can do the light and then add the dark in later. So for the boots, we'll start with the dark and add in the light. So you see with your markers, you've got two ends, the fine end and the bigger end. And you can see by the little line there as well which of the ends are. So I'm going to use, I think I'll use this end actually, because I can still get good control with that. And just where I think it will be the darkest, which is usually along the edges. So it's just a light feathery touch really is all that you're needing. And then along here, and then as well. Okay, so I've added in the dark Stampin' Blends, pop my lid back on those, and now I'm going to come over with my light Smoky Slate. So now the idea is here is to add the colour, but also to blend the colour out. So what you do is you're adding it, but you're also going over that line and blending that colour. So do that in a circular motion. The bits that don't have the now I'll show you how to get some more graduation in the colour in a little bit, but just in a circular motion, going over and over that line until you're happy with how blended out it is. You might find in the process, like I'm finding here, that I want to add some more dark, but that's okay. Now this is quite an intricate bit, so I'm actually going to go with the smaller end here and lots of circular motions to blend that. So I think I actually want to add some more of the dark. So we're going to come in here, and I'm going to do this with the finer end this time. Now I'm not sure if you can see that teensy tiny bit there where I've gone over. What you can do is with your colour lifter, you can actually grab that and actually remove that bit of colour. So your colour lifter is really awesome to have when you've got your Stampin' Blends. And I'll show you another way to use that in a moment as well. Okay, so you can see I've got the darker colour added. Put some on this one as well. Whoops, I want to use the smaller end. Oh, look, there's the phone. And we're back. Okay, so I'm just adding a little bit more of that darkness there. And down there. And then I'm going to come back with the light smoky slate and blend that out. That circular motion. See, I've gone over again. So I've gone over a bit more than I wanted to. So what I'm going to do is grab that colour lifter again and remove that. Now you might need to go over it a couple of times, and it takes a little while to dry and to show the effect as well. The other thing that the colour lifter is great for is when you want to actually show a little bit of, you want to remove a little bit of colour, because you know how when things are a bit curved, you actually get sort of a lighter effect on those. So you can actually use the colour, lifter to actually add that effect. So as I do that, it actually removes some of the colour in an even way, and that's sort of what we want to achieve as well. So okay, let's go on to the Magenta Madness. And now this time I'm actually going to do the light first. So I'm going to fill in each of the sections, and then I'll come back and do the dark afterwards. So I'm using this, I want to use the thinner end because I want to be precise to do these little bits. But then I can come in later with the other bits. And I'm doing them one panel at a time. The reason I do that is because you actually get a, the panel stays wetter, which makes it easier for the blending. So there we go. I've done one section there in the light Magenta Madness. And now I'm going to come back with the dark Magenta Madness and add in my highlights. So I want to go on the edges there, a bit like that. I think I'll be happy with. And then I'll come back again with my light Magenta Madness, and I'm going to just go over and over and over and over and over and over those sections to blend those two shades of Magenta Madness together. So then we'll go and we will do the second section, and then we'll see at the end if we want to add any more darkness. You can either add the light first and then the dark, or the dark first and then the light, but the main bit is to do that circular motion to blend the colours together. And the same as I've done on the boots, I think we actually need to add a little bit of the colour lifter, especially to this middle one, because if you think how an umbrella, when you've got the umbrella out, how it would look, you would actually have that lightness in the middle, almost like the sun was bouncing off it. So we're going to add a little bit of that. And I'll see towards the end how I go, whether I want to add more or if I'm happy with that. But I'll leave that one there, and I'll go on to the small flowers. Now, there's not a lot of real estate to play with here. So I'm going to use just jade for the leaves, and then I'm going to use Mango Melody for the other flowers. I just want this to be a bright, happy card. Okay, so we could maybe add a little bit of the dark Mango Melody. Probably not a lot of room to do too much blending here, but we'll just add a little bit on the sides there and down the edge where there would naturally be some shadows. And then I'll come in and do the Just Jade here. So sometimes you're just, on the small pieces especially, sometimes you're really just colouring them in. Oops, never mind, I went over that. We can say there was a leaf behind it. Okay, so you can see how I have coloured those sections. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out all of those images and pop them on a card, which you'll be able to see in a moment. Here we are with the completed card, and let me show you some bits and pieces on this. Now I know I said I was going to cut the bits out with a die set, but silly me. What I meant to say was the Umbrella Builder Punch is the coordinating item for the Under My Umbrella stamp set. So what I have done is I have cut this umbrella out using the punch. So and it also cuts out the smaller one, and I've also cut out this bit here using the punch as well. So I stamped that from the stamp set, this little bit here, and then I punched it out, so it's got a little bit of a border on there too, which I quite like. So the other element that I've got on my cards is this, is I've created some clouds and some raindrops. So the raindrops are the Raindrops stamp, which is in the stamp set, so they're really cute, I think. And to create the clouds, I've got a bit of scrap paper here. What I did was to create a uneven piece of cardstock cut with my paper snips, and I just cut some rounded areas on that in different shapes. And then all you do is I used Smoky Slate and a sponge dauber. So rather than actually rubbing it, I just daubed it on because I wanted it really light. So I'll show you that. So I usually put it on a bit of an angle and just daub it on, and then you've got start lightly and build up, and then you can add as much as you want. And then for the next one, I'll just move it across like this, add a bit more, and this one you might like to do like that. You can do it a bit darker near the cut edge, and then a little bit lighter if you want to fill in some of those areas. But that's an easy way to create a cloud effect, and just using your paper snips and a bit of cardstock. So that's good. I also use the paper snips to cut out the rubber boots and to cut out the flowers. So because they've got such a pointy end and they're so precise, they're so awesome to use, you can get right in all the little nooks and crannies and cut all the areas out that you want. So I cut out the flowers and the boots with that. So, and then I've just stamped my greeting from the Under My Umbrella set. So this one here, rain or shine, you're always on my mind. I stamped that in the Memento Black because that's what I had out, just at the top there, and that's finished my card. So I've popped the umbrella and the flowers up on dimensionals. So I've used the mini dimensionals here and the normal size dimensionals for this. And then you might be able to just see tiny, tiny mat, just 1 millimeter of the Mango Melody, just to highlight that colour on the card. And then I've placed it onto a Magenta Madness card base. So there we have it. Hope you've enjoyed today's card. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Thanks for watching.